As anime gets bigger throughout the world, as especially as of late due to COVID, man, we're still talking about COVID. I mean, COVID did a lot of things. I wanted to do something that brings up the past, something that paved the way for the future and paved the way for the present. I wanted to talk about the old comics that came out. Hello, my name's Schmmo for those who have not come across, and if you have, welcome back. I appreciate you. But I've done multiple things over the channel, talking about like Pulp, and I've talked about Shojo Beat. I've talked about all these old manga, like manga collections, stuff like that. But also want to dive into some of the histories, talk about it more. I know I touched upon Pulp, which I'll do again in this video, but I want to talk about like stuff like Star Blazers. That's like about Battleship Yamato. Stuff that paved a way, like Shonen Jump. That's another big one. I just want to touch on this and talk about, the stuff that led the way to what's available now everywhere. And to bring light and knowledge to those who are new to the scene and who have not read any of this old stuff, who didn't know about the old stuff. So let's hop right into it. We're going to start with Star Blazers. So let's talk about the first issue, that is the Scarlet Scarf, aka Volume 0 of Star Blazers. This comic started in 1995. I'm going to give a quick description of it, and I'm going to show a bunch of stuff from this website. It goes more into detail. Issue 0, The Scarlet Scarf. Shortly after the cleansing of Earth by the Cosmos DNA, the monument to Captain Avatar is dedicated on the day before Derek Windstar is embark on a year-long patrol on the Argo. The prospect of leaving Earth so soon puts him in a dark mood, which is lifted by reading of Captain Avatar's diary about the journey to Iskandar. None of us wanted to risk getting bogged down in an episode-by-episode adaptation of the first TV series, since it was already available in many forms. So we opted out instead for a one-issue retelling of the entire story through Captain Avatar's words. The alternate perspective allowed us to explore well-trodden ground with fresh eyes. The issue was numbered 0 in order to test the waters for a regular series, and when the order came in for well over 20,000 copies, that's when it started going. This was like a first introduction for people who didn't know what anime was like, or what this big series that was the Legend of the Battleship Yamato, one of the bigger old-time classic animes. This definitely paved a way, gave an idea of what this series was, and the fact that they were serializing in comic form to get people into it was a big thing. There were other series out there, but this was one of the bigger ones, one about a notable series at the time, and this is one thing that got a lot of people into getting into manga, getting into the anime like area, the atmosphere, the genre, whatever you want to call it for that time, that scene. It is one of the big things that paved a way and allowed a lot of people to get actually found out about a new media, a new form of entertainment. And by God, if you haven't watched Battleship Yamato, please go do. Or at least you can go to the website that I'm going to link down below about our Star Blazers. It's the name of the website. It gives you at least a PDF of Volume 0, and that way you can at least read through it and see if this is something that could interest you. So, since we're done talking about that, let's talk about Pulp. And I've done that before, and here's the thumbnail. I already covered this, but for this, I'm just going to go over what Wikipedia and some of the other websites say. Pulp was an American manga magazine and literary imprint published by Viz Media from 1997 to 2002. The magazine was primarily published English language translation of seinen manga. This was the first English language magazine that published manga aimed towards the adult readership. It was aimed towards an older crowd. This happened during the 90s, during the original boom of manga that was translated to English, which aimed mostly towards, kids like Sailor Moon, Pokemon, and upon 1997, with the launch of Pulp, it was one of few that emerged from the time Rajin Comics, America Extra, some other stuff that were basically outside of kids targeted, like they didn't target kids. So Pulp magazine published a bunch of different things like Banana Fish, which is a very good notable name, Number 5, Phoenix, Shortcuts. There's a lot of good series that started there, and there were some that never finished publishing, which you'll see in another thing that we talk about in a minute here. This was another thing that paved way for Japanese culture. It was a way that showed different things to get teenagers into stuff. It wasn't, this is just for kids. This is, okay, well, these are more focused towards, themes that are affecting us nowadays. This, I can relate to this as a teenager. I can relate to this as a male, or I can relate to this as a female. These are things that I can actually relate to and enjoy the story. There's a full line story here. There's a lot of romance, there's a lot of action. This isn't just for kids, this is actually for me. And as you get older, you realize, especially people getting into stuff now, there's a lot of adult manga out there. Watakoi is a good example. Sweat and Soap's another one. I mean, there's just a bunch of stuff out there that's for adults. There is stuff for all ages. And Pulp magazine was allowed, or basically paved a way to say, hey, there's more media out there, not just for kids. And it's okay to get into it. So here's a bunch of samplers, essentially, and you can follow along if you buy every monthly. I think it was monthly. Every month you get more serialization of those series. Very good. And it led way to the next thing, which is Shojo Beat. Now, Shojo Beat came out at a very weird time. It was 2005. It was more focused towards the female audience. There was a couple things that, you know, guys could read it too. There were some good stories in there. But let me talk about it real quick. Shojo Beat is a shoujo manga magazine formerly published in North America by Viz Media. Launched in June 2005 as a sister magazine to Shonen Jump, it featured serialized chapters of 6 manga series, as well as articles on Japanese culture, manga, anime, fashion, and beauty. After its initial launch, Shojo Beat underwent 2 redesigns, becoming the first English anthology to use cyan and magenta ink tones, common to Japanese manga anthologies. Viz launched a related imprint of the same name, female-oriented manga, light novels, and anime. Targeted at teenage women, the first issue of Shojo Beat launched in circulation of 20,000. By 2007, average circulation was approximately 38,000 copies, with half coming from subscriptions rather than the store sales. It was well received by critics who praised the mix of manga series as well as the inclusion of articles of Japanese culture, though some critics found the early issues boring and poorly written. In 2009, Viz announced they would be discontinuing the magazine. The July 2009 issue was the last released ever. Fans were disappointed at the sudden news, and industry experts felt it was a loss. Its loss would leave female comic fans without a magazine of their own, but praised Viz for its choice on continuing the Shojo Beat imprint and branding for its shoujo manga and anime releases. This was a thing that specifically focused on the female audience. It was the first of its kind, especially in the comic book world. I mean, prove me wrong. If there's something else in the comments, leave it down below. But at least in the anime side and the manga side, like doing that, it was the first that really focused on the female audience. It gave them something to read, other good stories like Nana, and some of the other good manga at the time like Honey and Clover, which I don't think I ever really got out of it. Baby and Me, Backstage Prince. There's a bunch of good series in it. And another one that people might actually know, which Vampire Knight, which I think that went and continued at something. I'm not sure. But when this finished in July 2009, it was a very big letdown, as they said, for the female audience, because what could they go to? There wasn't anything else like that at the time, at least over here in America. But in Japan, obviously, they had a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of different things. But here in America, it let down the female audience. Though it did leave it a good impact, a good impression on people, to which they went and followed and fell throughout the other things. But it was very important. I believe I did something on it, but there's one thing that I think everyone watching has heard or seen, and that is Shonen Jump. Now, if you don't know Shonen Jump, I'm going to go into detail about the regular one, and then I'll talk about the English one. Weekly Shonen Jump, stylized in English Weekly Jump, is a weekly shonen anthology published in Japan by Shueisha under the Jump line of magazines. The manga series within the magazine consists of many action scenes and a fair amount of comedy. The chapters of the series that run in Weekly Shonen Jump are collected and published by Takobon volumes under the Jump Comics imprint every 2 or 3 months. It is one of the longest running manga magazines, the first issue being released in the cover date of August 1st, 1968. The manga has currently sold over 7.5 billion copies since then. Now, for the English one, regular Shonen Jump, published in North America by Viz Media, debuted in 2002 in November 2002, with a January 2003 cover date. Though based on Weekly Shonen Jump, the English language Shonen Jump is retooled for English readers and the American audience is published monthly instead of weekly. It features serialized chapters from 7 manga series and articles in Japanese language, culture, manga, anime, video games, and figurines, in conjunction with the magazine. Viz launched new imprints for releasing media related to the series presented in the magazine and other shonen works. This includes 2 new manga imprints, an anime DVD imprint, and a fiction line for releasing light novels, a label for fans and data books, and a label for release of art books. Prior to the magazine's launch, Viz is an extensive marketing campaign to promote the magazine and help succeed where other magazine anthologies in North America have failed. Shueisha, sorry if I said that wrong, purchased an equity interest in Viz to help fund the venture. Cartoon Network, Suncoast, and Diamond Distributors became promotional partners for the magazine. In the first issue required 3 printings to meet the demands, with over 300,000 copies sold. Basically, when I got in the big networks like Suncoast, Cartoon Network, all these big things, it pushed it forward. There was a big explosion in the manga reading. There was a lot of people getting into it, especially with other series that were coming out at the time, which a lot of people were getting into, like Bleach, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Rono and Kenshin, Slam Dunk, Gintama's in there, JoJo Bizarre Adventure, which a lot of people know, Saint Seiya. There's so many that started in this, including One Piece and Dragon Ball. I mean, everyone knows that. But this paved the way. This is what led to today. This is what inspired people. From 1968 onwards, over in Japan, this was inspiring people to make their own things. In North America, this was inspiring people to find out about Japanese culture. And it paved way in the magazines to describe stuff, talk about what's going on with fashion, what's in the newest update, when are these art books coming out, where's this, that, and the third. It paved massive ways for a new wave of fans, and it helped increase because their friends would pass it on. I remember growing up and we were passing Shonen Jumps around in the playground. It paved way for fans. Like it just increased everything for everyone, and it is one of those important pillars that, yeah, people know what Shonen Jump is, but people don't understand the importance of it. There's a lot of people that brushed off, oh yeah, Shonen Jump. A lot of people lived and died by Shonen Jump. Not actually died, but I'm just saying, like, this was their form of media. It was cheap. I think in the stores it was like $10, and you got like 500 pages, 400, 500 pages of manga information, and it was released every month. That was mind-blowing at the time. It's like, I can get something new every month. I don't have to try and search it online. I can do it and look for it. And unfortunately, it stopped the physical print in 2013, 2014, and became strictly online. But Shonen Jump is still running. Out of all these things I mentioned, Shonen Jump is still running. You can pay like $5 a month for the Viz Media app, which you can get Shonen Jump, and get all these new things that are coming out, which kind of leads to today, where it leads to accessibility for everyone. You can get it on your smartphone. You only pay like $2, $3, $5 a month. You get so much access, and it's cheaper than buying the physical book. Like, it's amazing. We are in a good time that allows manga, that allows anime, that allows a lot of things to be readily accessible. And it's thanks to those things that I've listed, these series, these publications that paved a way. They bring up interest to get people into these series, to get people into this media format. And I just gotta say thank you. Any of the people, if for some reason you end up watching this, or for anyone that knows people, thank you. You guys did a lot of hard work and you paved a way. And thanks to more recent stuff, it's now available everywhere. Everyone's into it. And I just thank you for all the memories, and thank you for all the stuff that you guys had to offer. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know your emotions, your memories with any of these series. I have a feeling a lot of you might remember Shonen Jump or had a lot of things to do with it. But if you had Pulp or Shojo Beat or anything with, Battleship Yamato, let me know down below. And yeah, I thought this was just be a little bit of a history lesson, cover some of this stuff, and just give my input on it. So anyway, until next time, I'll see you all later. Bye.